Hey everyone. I know not a whole lot of people are watching at this point, but I figured lots of people will watch this a little bit later on. But for today, I think I'm going to just keep it simple and play the Neil Patel investors video because it's been, well, I think it was released in February or March, which seems like so long ago, but a lot of people haven't seen this yet. And with the recent um, announcement that they're, well, it wasn't an announcement, but the discovery that they're looking for more fundraising, I thought it'd be fun to go through this original video because I do seem to remember a lot of absolutely hilarious stuff that they talked about, and just so how far-fetched Tommy was on his expectations of what this project was going to, net them in the end. So
I'm
hopefully
Neil
this
Patel,
works.
the founder of Angels and Entrepreneurs.
We'll start it off.
Over the last several weeks, I've been in very close contact with two game-changing founders.
And I'll probably be
companies
talking
set
over
to
him quite a
completely
bit, so
disrupt their
I apologize about that in
One,
advance. But
with a market of 3.1 billion people that could give you a super fast 10x return
10x return
only
in 3.5 years.
And
for
the
the
other
Amico.
deal is backed by the founder of Priceline.com, one of the biggest angel deals of all time. The last time we saw deals like these, the rounds closed in 9 hours. I see the possibility of that happening again.
I don't know a whole lot
we
about
have
Neil
to move
Patel,
fast.
so I'm only
I've hired film
basing
crews
everything
and sent them
off
on
of what
the road
everyone else has said,
just so I
but it
can
sounds
bring
like
these two founders to you quickly
he's
before
into
their
those
deals close.
get-rich-quick
Wait till you hear
schemes
from Tom.
and
He's
possibly
an
pyramid
absolute
schemes.
legend,
Not too sure.
a rock star in his industry, a guy who's helped bring
So he's not very
hours
trustworthy.
upon hours of entertainment to literally billions of people around the world. I mean, this guy has set
Founder one
5
Tom.
records for the Guinness Book of World Records.
And I will be pausing this through. So let's start with 5 Guinness Book of World Records. Really does not mean much. I thought, like when I was a kid, when you would go into the Guinness Book of World Record, that seemed like a big, accomplishment. But now that I've learned that you basically can just pay Guinness to come and, watch you take a record and then give you a certificate. And like you'll see some channels like Dude Perfect who have like dozens and maybe even hundreds of just ridiculous Guinness Book of World Records. It really doesn't mean a whole lot. And the second part here, the 10 billion in sales on prior projects, I absolutely hate when people do stuff like that. So basically, I could say myself, like if I worked at Microsoft, I'm part of the team, that I'm partially responsible for billions and billions of dollars in sales on prior projects. So it makes it seem like he's the one who, designed these games that made these billions of dollars, and I'm sure he's lumping himself in with Roblox there. So that's a perfect example. So they use one sound effect, and he's taking credit that his work has contributed to that $10 billion. It just seems ridiculous.
For pulling in nearly $10 billion in sales from his projects. And trust me, you're going to want to listen closely to everything he says, because Tom's offering you a sweetheart revenue sharing deal. That means as an investor in his startup, you get a percentage of every penny they bring in. Every time they make money,
well, it's too bad they're not going to bring in anything.
We've never had an opportunity this unique and exciting before. So to really drill down on this deal, I'm bringing on a guy who might be the foremost data expert when it comes to vetting angel deals. His name, Chris Lustrino, CEO of King's Crowd, the first and only company analyzing and rating private deals. In fact, they've literally gone through thousands of companies, all the way from brand new pre-seed companies to mature deals heading for IPO.
This part's a little bit
so
dry.
Obviously, Chris is a heavyweight in the angel
Maybe
world.
the Intellivision Zero can go with Neil Patel for
Welcome,
fundraising.
Chris.
Hey, Neil, I'm so glad to be here. I spent the last week or so poring over prelim paperwork for Tom's deal, and I can tell you from experience, revenue share deals can be incredibly powerful, especially if
it could be powerful, but only if you have a good product.
If you take the 3 top products on the market right now, they've raked in an incredible $51.9 billion of combined revenue in the last 7 years alone. That's just a ridiculous amount of money. The 3 products that brought in nearly $52 billion, it was the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Yep, video games. Video game consoles make crazy amounts of revenue
sure do.
year after year. And I believe his startup is about to launch the next big one, a brand new video game console. So unique, so simplified, so user-friendly, and so affordable, it's going to disrupt the entire massive global market.
Did you say affordable?
That's why I'm putting in my own money into it.
Yeah, and so am I. The market's a big one.
And so
One
Smash
of the
GT.
biggest on Earth. About 3.1 billion people play video games. We're talking about 40% of the entire world population. That's why the total addressable market is so huge. $152 billion. A figure bigger than the movie industry and the music industry combined.
Okay, Chris, looks like
Look
we're
at him.
ready to bring Tom on.
Tom is just
Yo,
ready to
welcome
go.
to my home. As you
Yo.
can see around me, I live, breathe video games constantly.
Just going to pause it there for a second. I always reference Shark Tank because I watch every episode, and they always completely destroy and grill anyone who says, if we only get a small, tiny, 1%, portion of that total, huge market, we'll be millionaires. And if it was that easy, then everyone else would do that. They talked about the 3 consoles there. Those consoles have, well, we're going on like 30, 40 years of brand awareness. They're backed by, billion-dollar companies. It's quite the jump, from a small startup to a billion-dollar company. Even Nintendo in their weakest days, Wii U and GameCube, they still had billions of dollars in the bank. So it's not like they had started from scratch and instantly became, selling 100 million consoles.
24 hours a day.
I can tell. Now, Tom, before you tell us all about the exciting new video game console, let me tell folks all about you, because you're a true icon, a force in the video game industry for 30 years. You've been a designer, product manager, producer, writer, executive, and head of both the music and video departments for some of the biggest players in the industry. You've been named one of the top 50 gaming people of all time by Game Developer magazine. You've been
I've never heard of that magazine, but I don't know Tommy's accolades as much as maybe other people do, but he is mostly just sound design. So it's not like he is Miyamoto who, created the greatest franchises of all time, or any, even other directors like Cliff Bleszinski or whatever his name was, who created Gears of War and stuff. Tommy's never been associated with creating a game. Like, he's worked as part of the team for some decently sized games, but it's kind of a reach that he's, top 50 guy of all
major
time.
Video game consultant to Sony, Microsoft, and even Apple. You have 50 industry awards and have been a major force behind over 300 games, many of them the biggest hits of all time, like Madden NFL, Spider-Man, Guitar Hero, Earthworm Jim, Disney's Jungle Book, and even
I love that one. Greatest games of all times. And then they point out Disney's Jungle Book for the Game Boy Color. I highly doubt that that's ranked in anyone's top 100 games of all times. Even looking at these other ones, who associates Madden 96 with either being one of the best Maddens, but with him being involved with it at all? Guitar Hero, I'm guessing he's part of it because he's related to the guy from Aerosmith, but he's not known for creating the Guitar Hero brand. And always references Earthworm Jim 2, or 1, and Aladdin, and he's done the sound design, and good for him. Those were good. And Spider-Man, it was a Neversoft game, and I don't think he's ever worked for Neversoft, so he probably just supplied the music.
Added. Video games have sold over 200 million units and generated 10 billion in revenue. In fact, you're in the Guinness Book World Records 5 times. So Tom,
impressive.
With all your amazing accomplishments, what's driving you to get this new video game console launched and on the shelves?
There's a huge gaping hole in the video game industry right
such a
now.
good sound.
I mean, it is big enough to drive a 300-ton truck through it. See, if you add up all the people who play home consoles, we're talking like Microsoft Xbox, Sony PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and then also let's add in the hardcore PC gamers. You're talking about a crowd worldwide of about 200 million people. We're talking about 3 billion people
3 billion,
that play
the
mobile games. So that means that less than 10% of the people who play video games in the world are playing them on those home consoles. The video game industry, which is a $150 billion a year industry, about 60% of that is money that's spent in the mobile market. So you got to ask yourself.
God, I hate when he does that. So condescending. The mobile market. we've had tons of videos that go over, you know, the difference between console and mobile gaming and how it's not the same, not at all. And he brings up the revenue generated in the mobile market. Those are for like the amount of money that's generated is just from like a small amount of games or apps that people invest hundreds and thousands of dollars into. There's probably billions of apps there that generate $0. Like anyone can go through the app stores and look just the endless amount of clones and how, you know, nobody's downloading them or whatnot. So it's not
Why
quite as
is that? And that's exactly what I
you know,
did. And I figured out the
an apples to
reasons
oranges
why.
comparison there.
Modern consoles, for example, they've become way too complex, right? There's
Way
so
too
many buttons on the
Look at his
controller. It's, you know, it's baffling for most people. You need a
Baffling.
ton of dexterity with all those buttons, you know?
I know what you mean. I have an Xbox controller here in front of me.
So
Look
confusing.
at all these buttons. There's buttons at the top, there's buttons in the front, there's buttons in the back. You've got to be an Olympic finger athlete to work one of these things.
Olympic finger athlete to work a generic controller there that people have been using for the last 20 years. Maybe my kids are just genius. I don't know, but my daughter was, I think, 5 when I first gave her an Xbox One controller. And she picked it up within not even a day, like within an hour, because it's pretty straightforward to how to hold it and how to press the buttons. Same with my wife. She never ever played any 3D games. And she picked up and learned how to play Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild within minutes. So it's not that hard. If it's so difficult, then you think that Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft would invest in totally changing the controller design.
Well, not only that, but most of the games are, you know, super violent too. Bad language, not really, you know, kid friendly. A lot of sexual content, blood, gore, destruction, all that
Mario
stuff.
has a lot of that.
And the games for the home consoles now are very expensive. You're talking a AAA game, 60, 70, sometimes
Nintendo it is,
80,
but
up to $100 each. And then, of
the other
course, the new
consoles, you can get
machines
them
themselves, you're
cheap.
talking $400 to $500, and you only get one controller. So if you want to play with 2, 3, 4 people, okay, now you're going to have to spend another 60 to 70 or 80 bucks for those controllers, plus the games, plus. I mean, it might cost you over $1,000 just to play a couple of good games with a couple of friends. Very expensive for.
Or what I used to work in video game stores and retail a long time ago. The people who cannot afford it would just buy the previous generation consoles and either used or even new. And like, for example, right now, if you want to buy like an Xbox One or even going further back, like a 360 or a Wii, you can buy them like dirt cheap in games. I've seen people sell Wii's console with 20 games, extra controllers for $100, like Canadian dollars. But most of the times people, what they do is just buy previous generation. So you can buy an Xbox One and then the games are all dirt cheap. But nowadays, he never ever mentions the Game Pass. If you were to buy a Series S and Game Pass, you have day one, what is it, 200 games? So it's not that expensive. And then he was talking about how it'd be $1,000 to have friends come over, like to have multiple controllers for your friends to come over and play with. I've posted that in videos before. It's not true. You can buy third-party controllers, even good ones, for $30 to $50, and the kids will have tons of fun.
I mean, there's even a controller out there. I swear to God, it's $179 just for one controller.
So his reference is the Elite controller, which even I wouldn't buy because I don't care that much. So he's using the most extreme example of $180. Yet when I posted controllers on my video, I think Relic Gamer got all mad about it. I forget if it was him or Turbo or somebody. No, it was Atari Creep, that guy. Sorry, it wasn't Relic. He says that it didn't count. Like when I posted the $30 and $50 controllers that had high reviews on Amazon, that doesn't count. Only these ones that are expensive, 100 or 180 count when doing that comparison. So,
but to me, you know, the biggest problem so far, though, is that gaming has become totally solitary. See, when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and even when I was working in the game industries in the 90s, you know, we didn't have the internet, right? But when the internet became a thing in the late 90s and entered into gaming,
the internet.
Now,
Look at that
multiplayer
That kid's not
gaming
playing games.
meant a
He's
kid
all
in a
tapping to
dark
porn.
room
Big time.
with their headphones on, right?
Yeah, and that's just the more hardcore console audience. But even casual mobile players,
Look at that. They
parents
don't
and
even
young kids,
look
they're
at each
hiding in
other
a corner,
talking at dinner
head
table and
buried
whatnot.
in their phones.
No, totally right. And
I guess I'm pausing a lot. Sorry about that. It's so much stupidity there. So they said kids aren't playing together, and that's total BS. Well, maybe not now because of COVID, but it's totally not true because like it's a choice. Maybe kids, as society as a whole, sadly enough, are staying at home and going on electronics. I noticed that because when I was a kid, the parks would be full of kids and kids would be outside playing on the street and whatnot, and now everyone's at home playing on electronics. But to say that they don't do it at all and everyone's always in the dark, I would disagree with that because we have tons of co-op games here at home, and whenever we did have kids come over, other people come over, Mario Kart was always being played and instantly, and it would be everyone could pick up and play right away. And for my friends, we still much prefer hanging out together than it's not feasible for us to hang out together and visit someone's house every night. So we'd play online, but every once in a while on the weekend, it was way more fun playing together and it wasn't in a dark
remember,
room.
there are 3 billion people that play games on mobile devices. 3 billion people
3 billion.
play on the planet with video games on this, right? Why are so many people playing on this as opposed to consoles? It's not just the hyper convenience. I always have it in my pocket. No, it's because the games are much simpler. They call games on mobile hyper casual. That's why so many people spend money on mobile. Plus families aren't playing PlayStation 4 and Xbox together.
My family is.
Some of them are. I don't want to generalize too much, but the overwhelming majority of people who play Xbox and PlayStation are solo players between the ages of like 14 and 40. So whereas this
fall in that age group.
appeals to the world because it's simple, it's easy, and it's accessible. So
you can play games
what sucks about playing this, though, right? What sucks about playing on mobile? Well, first, playing on a small phone screen is kind of aggravating. I mean, especially if the game has controls that you have to use your fingers for, right? And if you want to play with 2 people, good luck. You're going to share this little screen or all put your fingers on the screen? No. Second,
who's going to do that?
At a recent game developer event, it was reported that Apple gets almost 1,000 game submissions a day. That's hundreds of thousands of new games a year. Android's about the same, because the same games are being submitted there as well. So add them together, iOS and Android, and you're looking at 750,000 new game submissions
clones of each other games.
It's crazy. Now, it
I won't
takes
disagree
Apple
with that.
only about 2 hours to approve an app. Google Play
mobile game market sucks. Like I don't play it because it's just mostly garbage, and plus that I have a million other games I can play at home here. But I would assume that most people play, and based off what I've seen, it is the hyper convenience. So if you're waiting at waiting for the bus or something, or else you have 10 minutes to kill at somewhere not at home, it's super convenient to pull it out and play, a puzzle game or what do you call those, the jewel games or whatever and stuff like that. That's why people play it. And I can't imagine people thinking it's the same as, I have 5 minutes to kill, so I'm going to play a puzzle game, that to going at home and having 3 of your family members come and play Astro Smash. Like, I don't see that comparison. It's totally different.
Faster. In fact, 3 hours is like a long wait. So do you actually think that a real human being is sitting down, looking at these games, playing all the way through them? You think they have a strategy to keep the garbage out? No, they don't. I'll tell you. It's all a numbers game to them. That means zero curation, zero quality control. It's a total cesspool, too, if you have little kids. Thirdly, mobile games are nothing more than a money suck. I can tell you this.
I think he's talking about this, but then he's using that same market
but they're not, right?
Invest in us because there's this market.
They call them freemium, if you will, kind of free and premium. So here's the deal. If you don't give them your credit card or you don't give them your friends list on Facebook or your email address, then guess what? I got news for you. you're going to be getting a 30-second ad every 3 minutes. We don't have any of that stuff in our machine. No microtransactions, no in-app advertising, no loot boxes, all that stuff. Those games on mobile are being designed
so he's
to
shitting
suck
on
as much
mobile
money
games,
out
but
of
using
you,
that same market
your
as
wife,
what will give
your
them success.
kids, as
That's what we
much as
gathered.
possible. It's completely predatory, completely 100% bad. I mean, it's almost a crime.
Yeah, just a
Crime.
few weeks back, I read an article in the New York Post about a 6-year-old
Yes,
kid
that's
who racked up
quite the extreme
$16,000 on
example
mom's
there.
credit card playing mobile video games.
I read that too. It's crazy, right? So, on one side we have video game consoles, which are more for the hardcore gamers. They're expensive. They're
Nintendo.
hard for casual
Not
players
complex.
because the
It is a bit
controls are so
expensive,
complex.
but you can buy older
and
ones
to
that are
top it
cheaper.
off, a lot of the games are violent and not really
That's
what
not
you want to
true.
expose your younger kids.
That's what the rating system's all about. And I'll go back to do people really want a system designed for children? And back to my experiences, I remember when I was working and the different Grand Theft Autos were coming out, I would warn the parents and say, hey, I think I can't remember if it was Vice City or something like that, that I would explain the contents of the game, saying you can pick up hookers and do all this, shoot people, lost squares, drugs and stuff. And 90% of the parents were like, I don't care. So is this an issue? I don't know. And Nintendo does not, advertise it's a violent, non-kid-friendly system. On my channel, I think I do have a video, one of my first ones, where it talks about family-friendly games and showed the list of the Kirby's and the Animal Crossings, which sold, I don't even know how much, 20 million copies or something. And even Mario Odyssey, like I wouldn't consider that violent. And Mario Maker, there's tons of games that are not violent. There's a little bit for everyone.
Kids too. And then on the other side, we have the super duper simple hyper casual games on your mobile, right? They're not as fun to play on the smaller screen. The quality is a bit lower. They nickel and dime you to death at every turn.
I will agree with that.
We said to ourselves,
Not a
look,
fan of the mobile
there's
games.
gotta be a better way. There's this mile-wide gaping hole in the video game industry. What if we came up with something that was drop-dead simple, right? It was inexpensive,
it's not affordable,
easy to use, and best of all, family-friendly. It would hit a part of the video game market where right now there is literally zero competition.
So I go back to this. Always zero competition. I have another video showing all the co-op games and the family stuff. Like Nintendo is, why does he pretend Nintendo is not a competition? And why does he think that even investors won't think, hey, Nintendo, like I would assume is the most popular video game brand that exists. And people associate that to child friendly. Like they just had a theme park, the Nintendo theme park, and there's a Mario movie in the works that's made by the same people doing the Minions movie. Why does he think that people assume that Nintendo is all violent, adult-oriented stuff? Like clearly there's Nintendo. Like he has to address that.
We could draw from the more hardcore audience with kids that already have like multiple machines and stuff, while at the same time get a bunch of those mobile casual, hyper casual gamers turned on to a console.
There's also a difference.
And we bring back the family fun. So we're aiming at families here. That's our target. No one has.
So he wants to bring in the mobile people. There's a difference between, like, my wife plays some mobile games and my kid a little bit on her tablet. But my wife plays it because it's something that she would never spend money because she's cheap. So she's not going to spend $300 on an Amico system. And it's just convenience. And the games themselves, like, I could understand if Tommy had similar games on the systems that are popular on the mobile market, but he doesn't. He has like Rigid Force and Evil Knievel, which casual mobile people don't give a shit about. So he has no games.
Has ever gone for them 100% hardcore before, not on purpose anyway.
What about Nintendo's Wii? Isn't that what they aimed for years ago?
No, that's a great example because it wasn't exactly where they were aiming, but it's where they hit. And here's the amazing thing, Neil. Let's talk about the Nintendo Wii for a second. That system did 102 million units. It generated nearly 50 billion in revenue. I mean, my mom bought a Wii, right? I'm sure you guys know a whole bunch of families, maybe Neil, even yourself, right? Families who bought a Wii who normally never played video games or bought video game consoles. Why is that? Well, because it was simple, right? Anyone could pick up and play a Wii. And because of that, it eventually became the third biggest selling video game system of all time when it was launched. So if there's one video game console that is a great comparable to ours, I'd say it's definitely the Nintendo Wii. And I mean, heck, 50 billion in revenue. Now, imagine if you could have shared revenue from the Wii launch, right? On 102 million units. Would you have bought into that deal, Neil?
Jesus Christ. He's comparing to Nintendo. What he neglects to mention is that they had over $200 million pumped in to market the Wii. It was something new, never really seen before. So it was a gimmick that people got excited about. They had mainstream coverage, because I remember when the Wii, well, first of all, in the E3 presentation, but the Wii being displayed on, demoed on all the big shows, like the Tonight Show and everything. And it was so much money put into marketing to get people to understand what it is, how it worked, and they did a way better job of showing how it worked, like with the motion controls and how easy it was. That is why it sold so much. What he doesn't mention is that the game attach rate for the Wii was terrible, like, and the drop off. Like, the Wii was successful, but the 360 PS3 sold a ton more software for each console sold compared to the Wii, because I'm not sure if other people are similar to like how we ended up using the Wii. Is we bought the stuff, realized the motion controls sucked. Like, it worked good, but it gets tiring. Like, I did not enjoy playing, like, I didn't mind playing Red Steel one time, but after playing, one or two shooter games like that, it got old. I much preferred the standard controller, and the kids got tired of playing, my nephews and nieces, the Wii motion games. So it was a success, but
I know
the gimmick died, and now he wants to bring it back.
There's a demographic shift that's taking place right now that the Wii didn't have. You want to explain that?
The Wii was also
absolutely, because millennials are the biggest generation to ever live on the planet Earth, right? Their parents, who are the baby boomers, they were the biggest, and then a couple years ago that shifted, right? So now millennials are the #1 generation on the planet. Now, here's what we know about millennials, right?
You don't know anything.
They left home later. They, got into career jobs later. They got married later, and they had kids later. So now millennials are in their early to mid 30s, right? And they're just having children now. So here in the US, you're talking about 25 million households with kids under the age of 11 years old. There has never been that many households here in the US with kids 11 and under.
These people are fully aware of
the parents of those kids all grew up playing video games. And that's where we're aiming, that modern family. Now, of course, we're going to have a lot of spillover too,
So you're not going after the Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo crowd. You're going after an even bigger market. Parents who have kids. That's 25 million households. Almost every single parent I know who has kids just has in America. Around the developed world, my research suggests there are at least 4 times that number. It's a gigantic target market. But houses with kids aren't the only market for your new console. I also read a study about older baby boomers and gaming. Are you seeing interest from seniors?
Absolutely, we are. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of studies now are showing that when seniors play video games, it slows the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia by 30%, right? I mean, think about it. It's because your brain is like a muscle, right? And if you use it from day to day, then you're going to ward off all that negative cognitive decline, right? And those games are simple. And you know what? A ton of baby boomers played video games in college, right? And then when the Wii came out, they bought those to play with their
brain training marketing, because Nintendo did that with the brain training. Help exercise your brain, just like how we fit exercise your body. And to a certain extent, the brain training, somewhat does. But once again, that was a gimmick. It was popular. The brain training sold tons. The first 2 sold, tens of millions again. And then by 3 and 4, the gimmick died, the fad died, and they sold barely anything. So he's trying to piggyback off that with the seniors. And most seniors now, they, while still struggle with technology, are going to ask their kids or grandkids at this point what to get. Like, hey, I need to buy something. And I'll give an example. My dad, so when he was going through his, he was stuck at home for like a year or two going through cancer treatments, and he was bored, never played video game system at all. And he ended up buying an Xbox One, and I bought him a bunch of games, just basic and easy to use games. And this is a guy who like has never touched like a internet once in his life. And even he figured out how to manage through the console, play, the basic games. He didn't play anything super complex, but there's a ton of cheap games that was easy for him to use. Like side-scrolling platformers and shoot 'em ups that are basic. And usually the easy mode on most of those games let him enjoy it. And the best part about that is he was so ecstatic that he could use the system for his Netflix and other other things too, and as a to watch movies on it as well. So
kids or their grandkids, right? Now check this
grandparent
out.
market is so minute.
Asked me to do a feature interview in their magazine. That means 35 million seniors are going to have the opportunity.
Most of the seniors are reading books, or else they'll be using basic tablets games.
Think about it, right?
Card
Let
games,
me ask you,
Clubhouse
do you
games
think
on the Switch,
PlayStation,
stuff like that.
Nintendo, and Xbox ever thought about going for that senior market? Is that where they make their bread and butter? No, of course not.
This is
right?
true.
So
I heard
we
that's
have
extremely high
a wide
rate of STDs.
open gaping hole here, Neil, and we are going to crush it.
I really love the family angle, Tom. I can see myself playing video games with my daughter. But explain what makes your
Switch,
system
man.
so much more family
So much you can
friendly
play.
than anything else out there.
The first thing is it's
Play New
simple.
Super Mario
So you don't
Brothers.
have to
Great
train
game.
like some Olympic athlete just to work the buttons. Anyone can pick up and master our controller in like 5 minutes, right? Now our system comes
5
with
minutes.
2 video
If it
game
works,
controllers.
based off the Crayola
Simple
event.
controller that people can understand. It's kind of like a mouse, you just pick it up and you get it within a second. You don't have to think about what you're doing on a mouse. It's just
I would
built
disagree
to
with
be
that, 'cause
intuitive.
the other
Well, it's the
controllers,
same thing with our
the
controller.
way they're shaped,
You
it's
want to
easy
move
to
your
pick up and
character
figure out
down?
that one.
You press down.
I don't
Want to
really
move them up?
understand.
You press up. Then we've built a bunch of gadgets and gizmos in there to make it more modern, right? But again, keeping everything simple. So for example, we have a built-in gyroscope for like motion
Hopefully it's my
control.
voice
So
you hate.
let's say you're driving a car
I
or
don't think I sound like any
rolling
of the
dice
Muppets,
or
so I
something.
don't know
The
if I'm, like,
gyroscope
Fozzie or
technology
Kermit, but
is going
I
to
could
help
try.
you to steer that car and make it feel realistic.
Yeah, we're not sure if
Plus,
this works.
We have a built-in accelerometer for all those, remember those fun like We Like Bowling games, right? Where you need to know how hard you're throwing the ball or whatever. We also have force feedback technology in the controller.
Have
so
you
you can feel those
found out
car
if the force
crashes or it
feedback works
buzzes
yet or
when
not?
it's
I
your
haven't heard
turn or when it
anything
wants
of
to
it
give you a
actually
hint.
working at all.
And of course, have it being a touchscreen, you can even use it like you would a trackball in some of those old arcade games. And then
Why
there's
wouldn't you
the
use just
wireless contact
spinner
charging.
for that?
The controller just goes right
That's
back
not-
into
it's
the
not
console
Q
and
charging.
charges itself.
I love it. Simple technology, easy to use, and intuitive. This is the kind of device that can have such a
Where can I
massive
give my
appeal.
money to? This is
Oh,
fantastic.
totally. But wait, here's one
There's
of my
more.
favorite parts. Check
Late
this
night
out.
infomercial here.
I
There's
can
more.
actually take my controller from my system, right? And I can go over your house. I dock my controller onto
Whoa.
your system, and guess what? It knows that it's my controller in your
Or
system,
you can
and
bring
it
the
also
Switch.
knows all of the games
Or
that
if you
I
have physical
own.
games for the
So
Switch, you can bring it to
now
your friend's house,
we
or
can
bring the Switch
play
itself.
all of my
do that.
games that I own. We can download them
Or
and play them on your system.
you can log
as
in
long
onto
as
your
I'm
friend's
there
systems.
in the room playing with you. How crazy is that, right? No one
crazy,
has
man.
ever done anything like that. But, for
Except
us,
what I just
it's
said
like we want folks to be the ones that are helping to be our, marketing team, right? Well, they're going to spread word of mouth. Hey, have you played such and such a game?
And
no,
they're doing
check
such a
it out
great job
yet.
of that so
Boom,
far,
and you
Tommy.
play it right there. Now, here's something else very important. We
Especially guys like Turbo Joe,
control
who just
and
starts
curate
swearing
all of the games on our system.
threatening
right?
people.
So we make sure that they're all family friendly. And we have some of the most amazing family licenses out there. I mean, we're talking Sesame Street, Mattel, Major League Baseball. These are licenses we
Major League
already
Baseball
have.
with family-friendly
But
licenses.
that's just the start.
Just a sporting
We're in
license.
negotiations with, I'd say, the biggest family-friendly entertainment company in the world. I'll let you guess who you think I'm talking about.
It seems
That still
perfect
hasn't
for
happened.
Disney.
It does, doesn't it?
And the Sesame Street stuff is all Flash games that are online.
For us,
I was going to make a video about it, but I just don't care. There's, I think, about 30 to 50 of those Sesame Street games on the Sesame Street or PBS Kids webpage that kids can play for free. And my child, or one of my kids, when she was smaller, used to go online, and there's several places, like every big place like Nickelodeon and Disney, they all have tons of really well-made small Flash games that they can play with their favorite characters. So it's something you can play already and for free. And so far, Tom has only showed, I think, Sesame Street, Care Bears, maybe one other, like maybe 3 games at most. Meanwhile, if you go on those web pages, there's 30 to 50 of those games for free. So
trust and
it's a
value
market. He's like, there's not. He doesn't have the software to back it up
when
there.
it comes to our customers, right? That's why we curate every single game that goes on our system. And as regards to value, I mean, the best part of all is that all of our games are $9.99 or less in digital format. So when you buy a console, check this out, you get 6 full games. That's 6 full games. So we categorize our genres into 5 different categories. Edutainment, so the educational games like Sesame Street and things like that for like 7 and under, let's say.
He has 2 games.
Casual
like that.
Games, you're talking card
and once
games,
again, he only has 2 or 3
games,
casual games
where you can actually see the dice on the controller. Now, sports and recreation is another one. So as I mentioned, we already have Major League Baseball, but like recreational games too, like skiing, cornhole, shuffleboard, darts, pool, things like that.
Shuffleboard.
Now, another category is what I like to
this
call
retro
reimagined. So
games.
we went out and we got some of the biggest retro video game licenses out there. In fact, I have an exclusive deal with Atari where we have a lot of their biggest titles like Asteroids, Missile Command, Breakout, Pong even. Other companies, stuff like...
The stuff like Breakout and Pong, especially like Pong, that should be a throw in for free. There's no reason they should be charging people money for that. And if they're going to charge $1,
Burger Time
maybe $2.
And Moon Patrol. And what I mean by retro reimagined is I take all of those graphics, we update them, right? So they're modern graphics, modern sensibilities, modern audio and music, and we add in this multiplayer couch co-op experience as well. Another category is our original games. And what's unique about those is we really create and design those around our very unique controller. So those types of games can't be played on any other console, even if we wanted to. Let me mention too, we currently have 50 games in development, and these developers are some of the best in the world.
Is it 50 or is it 40
now? Love the idea of everything that we're doing. They're really excited.
How do you get paid on the games?
Well, that's.
Just gonna pause it there for a second. So he always brings up, sometimes he said 60 games, 50 games, 40 games, 20 that are near complete, 10 that are near complete. We have no idea. I want to point out that the Playdate has listed all the games that are in development, who is creating them, like the studios developing them, and they've listed which ones will be coming out in season 1. Meanwhile, for the Amico here, we still have no idea on many of the games. They've shown little previews. We don't know, are these all the German-funded games? Are these actually in development? Still in development? So he'll consider something like Earthworm Jim as one of those 50 games in development. Yet all they have is just that 2-second or that 5-second clip of him walking back and forth. So we don't really know how many games are actually in development and how many will be coming out on launch and when the next batch of games will be coming out. So it could be a situation where they had the 6-pack in games and those physical games that, that they brought up are physical products, not actual physical cartridges. But then in the end, we don't know, like, are they going to have 1 game per week? Are they going to have a drought of 2 months with no games? So we have no clue.
Some more good news, right, is that, we're approaching our ecosystem in a very unique and different way. So for us, because we're curating everything and paying for a lot of the stuff up front, our margins range from 100% on the games that we develop to around 50% to the top developers and when there's big licenses involved.
Who are the top
so we
developers?
make money on every single game,
From
no
what I
matter
understood, it's
who
all
makes it. And
startup
again,
studios
keep
for
in
the most
mind,
part.
we completely control and curate our entire ecosystem of games.
And you've got the price bar low on games at less than $10.
That's true. Yes. For the digital releases, everything is $10 or less. Now compare that to these modern games that are $60 to $70. For your hardcore PlayStation and Xbox, that's what you're paying, you know?
Right. You're at a much more casual, easy to digest game price. It's like a no-brainer for mom to say, hey, you want one of the Mattel games? No problem.
So your market is huge and your product solves a big problem. That's 2 big check marks for me. What about your team? I know you're a legend industry, and I know you've got other legends working with you.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? I knew when I started the company that the team was going to be so important. It really is the difference between a great quality product and an average one. And
I'll stop it there again. He is correct there. It is a very important factor in determining whether this is going to be, your team, if it's going to be a successful project or not. And he is, and that's just my opinion, because of him, the Intellivision Amico is doing really poorly. I think he's the one weighing the company down. So he does have a point here. Unfortunately, he is the reason they're not doing well. I
kind of like to always say, the Avengers, right? Marvel Avengers, they're the super team of superheroes ready to save the world. So to me, it's like we have the Avengers of the video game industry. Let me just go over a few people on our team, right? So, for example, we have the former president of Nintendo Software Technology. I got the CEO and chairman of the board of the largest video game media house in Germany, who's our European president over there. I've got a guy who started working at Sega of America when he was 14 years old.
And I think in one of my videos, I pointed out the accomplishments, or the latest accomplishments for a bunch of these guys. So the previous one, the German guy, he did something in the gaming industry, I think, in 1992. And this guy, I think it's Phil Adam, but I could be wrong. This guy, same thing. He has not done anything in 30 years. So these guys are not relevant. Even Perrin Kaplan, the first person he mentioned, she was around during the Wii era, but she has not done anything since then.
Years with the biggest Japanese gaming companies. He was the senior product manager for Electronic Arts, which is about a $40 billion company. He brought Dance Dance Revolution to the market, turning that franchise from 0 to $250 million in revenue. Our senior VP of Biz Dev has been involved in the industry.
He hasn't been around for like 30, 40 years also.
He's brought 350 different IPs to the market, including the biggest video game of all time, Tetris. Our VP of global marketing used to work at Mattel
not there anymore.
As one of the global brand managers over there, right? And she was in charge of the Disney brand within Mattel. So that's a double bonus there. Here's another one. This guy's off the charts amazing. How about the guy who co-founded and co-created the Xbox, right? This guy came up with the idea of Xbox Live. He ran a whole division within Microsoft.
YouTube now, you'll see a ton of videos talking about this.
I mean, this guy doesn't even need to work anymore. But
how Jay Allard was gone from the company, and I always say just watch Geek Getaway's channel because he always has all those videos. And he was gone apparently the summer before this was made, so 6 to 9 months before this, and they still listed him here.
He loves our idea and concept so much that he joined the team and has been making huge contributions. So
huge contributions.
This is the kind of thing that's really, I mean, talk about a slam dunk. We're not a bunch of yahoos who are doing some Kickstarter project. And it's like me in my garage,
his shoes and not doing something else.
Working on with an erector set here. These are the biggest and best industry professionals in the world who've worked and created and brought to market the greatest selling video games of all time. And we're all game makers, right? We're not suits. We all came together because we saw this huge gaping hole in the video game industry.
Gaping hole again.
And this is what we've created. Something that's using technology to bring people and families back together.
Honestly, that really is a superstar team. Now, I have to ask the $1 million question. How are you going to scale?
That's a great question, right? Every investor will want to know. And of course, we got it covered. One of the first things we did is we went out and we secured a $150 million line of credit for manufacturing, right? And it's backed by one of the world's richest countries. I mean, how incredible is that? Because when you think about it, you think about startup companies and it's like, oh, right, great. The product's out there. It's really cool. But, how are we going to scale? Where are you going to get the money to, ramp up production and stuff? I see it on Shark Tank all the time, right?
So he does watch Shark Tank.
Yeah, it's great. But can you please fund my purchase orders as well? So what I did is I wanted to go through every single potential red flag that a potential investor would have. And I wanted to take that off their plate. So again, I feel we're knocking it out of the park. $150 million line of credit for manufacturing. Boom, we got it, right? Plus, don't forget also, we already have revenue booked. I mean, we have 100,000 purchase orders, and I'm talking from big stores. Are you ready for this? How about Walmart, GameStop, Best Buy, and of course, Amazon. And that's just in, North America, US, Canada. Over in Europe, we've partnered with Koch Media. They are one of the biggest electronics and video game distributors over there. I mean, we're in two of the biggest electronic stores across Europe, Saturn, Media Market, places like Argos in the UK. And to mention, we also have pre-sold consoles as well, over 10,000 machines already. And that's zero advertising dollars. And those commitments.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, though we found out that they only have 6,000 units pre-ordered in 2.5 years, which is terrible. He dances around the purchase orders. He's clearly not going to indicate whether they're on the hook for the purchase orders or not. Like if all the inventory, if they have to return it, if it's not sold. I'm not sure if I explained that clear enough, but basically, if it does ever hit retail, which I doubt it will, if it ever hits retail and say Best Buy is stuck with 10,000 units that they cannot sell, a lot of times Best Buy can ship it back to the company, so Intellivision here, and then recoup what they invest, like they get their money back, like a refund, and that would absolutely kill Intellivision. Otherwise, if they did outright sell it to them, Best Buy would then clear them out, just like how Toys R Us cleared out the Leap TV for like $20-$30, and they'll never get a second shipment. So
we had people put $100 down deposit already because we wanted to make sure they were serious about if they wanted to pre-order. And again, these folks haven't even played the machine yet. They're just so excited from what we're talking about that they sent $100 just to procure a pre-order. So, I mean, here's the thing, guys. The company is built. The product is built. The games are being built. We have the manufacturer.
And we found out the product is not built. And we still don't know if the hardware is finalized. They're working on the motion controls now, even though originally it was supposed to be released last fall, so almost a year ago. So the product is not 100% built. The games are still not finalized. Cornhole, for example, they showed them trying to work the motion controls. So this appears to have been all a lie, what he was saying here at this point in time.
Ready to go. The money in place for manufacturing, the retailers, the purchase orders, the pre-orders. The rocket ship is built, folks, and we are on the launch pad headed for the stars. We just need a little more fuel to get there. And that's really what this offering is all about.
Well, let's talk about the deal. This isn't a traditional angel deal where you get shares of stock. It's a revenue share deal where the cash starts piling up for investors from day one. But I'm curious, why did you go that route? From my experience, the last thing a startup wants to do is share their revenues, especially if they have all these pre-orders lined up.
Well, first of all, let's say I wanted to avoid traditional VC folks as much as I could.
Because they would turn you down.
To them, it's a numbers game, right? All they care about is the numbers in the spreadsheet and averaging a 10x return. And, they would nickel and dime a company like us to death because
that was my first video, the Shark Tank one.
On the
I thought it was funny.
Yet. So, I'd rather see everyday people being able to make a 10x return than
Smash
a
CG, 10x
VC
return
folks, right? And
happening
that's
right
why
now.
we made this a revenue share deal to minimize the risk. That way,
That's
we
not
make
true.
sure
The
that the
reason is
people who
because
really
nobody
believe
would
in us
invest in your
get
idea if they
paid
saw what
on
you
the
had.
actual revenue we make. And no one, I mean no one from the equity investors we bring in to all the co-founders can get in the way of that revenue share. It's set in stone.
And like you said, you've already got a nice chunk of
Mr. Burns
revenue
type
that
people.
starts hitting day one after launch.
That's right. And it's about 25 million in sales too. Now, the revenue share
just hit
for that
25 million in
cash
sales.
starts getting distributed later this year too. I mean, how crazy is that, right? That you could make an angel investment today and start seeing cash within months. And look, like I said, I wanted this deal
based
to
off
have
what
less
Tony said,
risk for angels. So we're dumping a bunch of this money we're raising right now
the cost for
into
creating
the
each console
marketing
is
of the product.
substantially higher than originally
I really
thought.
want to
So
give people the easiest win.
good luck
I
making
can
money off
possibly
selling
engineer.
digital
and it
games
goes
for
up
$10.
from there. I mean, if we do better, which I fully believe and know we will, if we hit about 25 million consoles sold, it's a 10x return for
25 million consoles sold. Is this guy insane? Like 25 million. I don't even know if. Let's see how. I don't even think the Dreamcast sold that much. That is just. I don't even know what a realistic number for him. 200,000 consoles would have been a realistic target or goal, but 25 million. Okay, I'm going online here. The GameCube sold 21 million. The Xbox 24 million. Wii U 13 million. Dreamcast is 9 million. Like the idea that he can think they can get 25 million consoles sold is insanity.
Great, but
he can't even
should
produce.
Always remember that nothing's
500 of them,
guaranteed in
so.
investing, especially with
That's
startups.
insane.
So never bet more than you can afford to lose.
Here's the deal. We are going to rock this
Anybody who
launch.
invested in this,
I've been a winner in this industry my whole career.
Melons
I don't lose.
They deserve to lose their money,
and what
because
I've
if you
done
do
is
any
packed
research,
our
you would realize this
team
guy's
with
insane.
other people who are winners. The most successful people in the industry for the last 2 decades are all a part of our team. But here's the real thing. I can't wait till we launch later this year, when this product is in the people's hands, when the word of mouth starts to spread. That's when it's going to really get exciting and big.
2021.
The revenue share is right around the corner.
Very unlikely.
We're on track to be sending out cash to investors by the end of this year.
End of this year.
Well,
Well, Smash is going to get
Neil and I are going to be
back
covering all
in
the
only
bases
4
about
months.
it with our folks shortly. But first, I just want to thank you for letting us into your house and pitching your deal to our audience.
Yes, thanks so much, Tom. We really appreciate you opening up like you just did.
No worries. I mean, really, I thank you and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. So absolute honor, and thank you so much. I hope to be talking to you soon.
I think this deal has a ton of potential. I mean,
Tons of potential.
how many deals do you know where you get paid only a few months after you put in money? I can't think of any. And this company checks every box on my essential checklist.
Those deals are called
perfectly.
scams.
The market is huge, $152 billion, and it's still growing. And that team, 600 years of combined experience. They've got the guy who invented the Xbox. It's a great.
I like to go over that point again. 600 years of combined experience means nothing. It means you have a bunch of old people, or else you have a very large staff with minimal experience. Like, it doesn't mean anything, especially when it comes to technology or IT. Like, I'm in IT. I'm not in game development, but the younger people is usually who you target, because the old guys are stuck in the past and are coasting off what they remembered like 20 years ago. So in my IT dealings, usually we want the people with some experience, but not like, the 6-year-old guy who's stubborn and who won't, move with the times. And that's what it seems to be happening with them. So that's a detriment more than a positive experience. And I brought in my video with the Pie Packer, I went over the staff they have there, and I've communicated with them on Discord and stuff. And those guys are all like between 25 and 40 and have worked for the big companies like Ubisoft and Microsoft and Sega and a bunch of stuff. And they're totally on trend and have a clue what they're doing. These guys that they have are so off, like so outdated. And
greatest
It
stream team
clearly
that I've
shows in the
ever
product.
seen
Like
in a
they don't know
startup.
what they're doing.
Plus,
And
I think the
think they
timing
can do what
is
what worked 30 years ago
Simple,
today, but it won't.
affordable family gameplay is so timely right now. No one owns that space, and it's all up for grabs. They have a guaranteed
gaping hole.
$150 million
funny.
manufacturing line of credit, and they can start to scale right away.
Oh yeah, I was ignoring that part. No competition, first mover advantage. So they do have tons of competition. Extreme amount of competition with the big companies, especially now that they're coming out and they want to come out in Christmas, springtime, after Sony, Microsoft, and whatever Nintendo has release all their big hitters. Like that's even worse. The real competition is the niche market, which this fall, Evercade VS is coming out, Playdate is coming out. Buybacker's a lot smaller, but there are things coming out. Steam Deck, which is considerably bigger, is coming out. So they have tons of competition.
When they launch in the spring.
This
Spring
deal
2021.
definitely has a lot going for it. Like I said, it checks
Real
all the
competition
boxes.
is reality.
So Chris, you're an expert at revenue share deals, and you did some number crunching. Want to break it down for us?
Absolutely. Take a look
VTech
at this
is the
chart,
competition.
Neil. It shows all of the major game consoles since 2000.
And they have a strong
at the
retail
top
presence.
There, we have the biggest winner to date, the PlayStation 2, that sold more than 155 million units. Now take a look at the original Wii from 2006. That's 101 million units. It's the closest comparable to Tom's
That's their
gaming
comps,
console. Remember, the payments will be made twice a year.
I think the
So I'm
Leapfrog
going to show
Leap
you how
TV
it
is
could work
the
out in a
closest
best
comp.
case scenario. By
And
month
I don't
8,
know what their
you could
sales
have your
total
initial
numbers were, but
investment
I
back.
imagine
By end of summer 2022,
less than
you're at a
100,000.
202%
And it went
return.
out of business
Then
within a year.
things really speed
Or
up.
discontinued, sorry.
311% by fall, 417% by end.
So look at this payouts here. So had I invested in March when this was released, looks like I'd be about 75%. By next summer, I'd be at 200%. By February, 417%.
End of winter
payout.
2023.
Look at that.
522% by end of summer, 620% by winter, and look at that, 725%,
It has to be a joke, right?
800%, all the way up to 998%.
Fuck.
998%.
Like this. Is this a funny joke that I don't understand? And like, I'm not picking up on, like I'm being ribbed or something like this. Like, this is ridiculous. A 998%. They couldn't say 1,000%. It had to be 998. By September 2024, so they're assuming that the company will be around for 3 more years, selling this product using technology from 7 years ago. So by that point, it'd be like 10 years.
About 3.5
and at
years
that point,
from
they're
the
going
launch
to compete
date,
with everyone
you
else.
could receive a 10-bagger.
Jeez, yeah,
That's
Smash is going to be
amazing.
Yeah,
loaded.
considering that you're looking at just 5 years at the
You'll be
soonest
so
for
rich you
most
can
angel
actually
deals to
afford
even
like a
start
shirt.
paying out,
It'll be great.
this is unprecedented. To be able to get paid almost immediately. A deal like this could get filled with 50 or even 100 investors. That's not very many when you're playing with the big boys. So it's important that you move fast on this. We're going to give you all the details for getting into that small group of investors at the end of this presentation. But first, let's go 1,500 miles east to our second film crew in Columbus, Ohio.
So I guess that's it for the presentation. Whoops, clicked on the wrong one. He can get rid of his wife then. Yeah, and then he can marry Tommy. And they'll be a happy couple. So I mostly just wanted to do the stream just to test out the stream, just for fun. But because a couple of people didn't see it, or I guess more than a couple of people didn't see the original investors video. So a lot of people have made a bunch of videos following up to this, making fun of it, or I'll just bring up the crazy points. And I thought it'd be interesting for people to check it out and just to see, like, why do people, like, for myself, like, for example, myself, why do I go around and make videos making fun of them? It's because it's so ridiculous when they put out stuff like this. It's like low-hanging fruit, just too easy to like pick apart. So hopefully you guys had a good laugh or two. Maybe the Intellivision Zero might have a Neil Patel Angel Investor video we can make fun of. I mean, watch along down the road. I don't know what else to say, but it's just the whole reason I watch the Amico is not because I actually care. I don't. If they do well, good for them. It doesn't bug me. I'm not emotionally involved at all. I know some people get all pissed off when Tommy says something or the shills post videos. I don't care one way or another. This is my TV. Like, I find stuff on like on TV to be crappy. Like, my wife watches like the Bachelorette and stuff. I watch Intellivision Amico, like the drama and the soap opera of that, because it's absolutely hilarious. It has comedy, has drama, does not have much in the way of sex appeal at all, unless you call Review Tech taking his top off as, well, Carl's topless half the time too, so I guess there is some of that sex appeal there. But all the characters that are involved, it's absolutely hilarious. Like, I love it. Like, I don't want this to end, because it's so much more entertaining than anything else. So hopefully this continues on, and at that point, at some point it's going to have to end, and that'll be a sad day. But until then, got to enjoy the show, or enjoy the ride. I'm not sure what's going to be in the works for the next few videos, because there's not too much happening, and there's so many new YouTube channels ripping apart the Amico that it's kind of hard to, put something new that will be different from everyone else. Like, I was thinking of something really creative. Like, I don't know if anyone's done this before, but I was gonna, set up my room, put all my video games on the wall, and I was gonna grow my beard out more, gain 50 pounds, and then I was going to spend about 3 to 4 hours talking about my feelings about video games. I thought that might be original, and people might want to watch that. So I don't know. That was a joke. I'm not sure if anyone picked up on that, but until then, though, for today, I think Geek Getaway has a stream in at 7 o'clock. People should check that out. I don't know who's going to be on it. Maybe the hammock guy will be on it. He's always good times. And Carl will be on it. Carl's funny. Please don't give him a hard time. And maybe I'll see if I can go on it. I have to go get some Thai food shortly, so that seems kind of more important. So until then, I'm going to end the broadcast. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave, as I always say, you can subscribe. Leave the hate comments or the nice comments, but the hate comments are more funny. And I'll see you next time.